right, our newspaper reviewer is not here. Chukwudi is unavoidably absent, but we'll do the honors.
Yeah, we'll go through the papers and let's see what we can do. So you start, you have two papers.
Okay. I begin here with the Daily Trust, which leads with the headline, Cardoso warns Nigeria on debt risks. With the riders, FG states 0139 trillion naira. Debt rose from 2.1 trillion naira to 87 trillion naira in 24 years. And then just below the nameplate, Daurawa settles with Kano governor, returns as Hisba commander. That's on page 33. Private sector weak as economy declines by $44 billion in 2023. That's according to the NESG and can be found on page 23. 17 killed in Zaria, Kano, Abuja, Lokoja road crashes. That's on page 21. And then some other stories down there. IGP bars POS operators from police stations nationwide. That's on page 31. U.S. election, Supreme Court clears Trump for primaries. That's on page 4. Healing, masquerades go to church with native doctor for Thanksgiving. That's on page 20. And then at the bottom of the front page of the Daily Trust, you have children starving to death in northern Gaza hospitals. That's according to the WHO.
Okay, the second paper.
Okay. And then we bite into the Vanguard. And above the masthead, why SIMs previously linked to NIN were barred. That's according to the NCC, and it's on the page 5. NPR Obaseki faults CBN, warns of tougher times ahead. That's on page 4. Edo Guba, INEC opens candidates nomination portal. With the riders, I am APC candidate, Idahosa, writes INEC. IPAC tasks parties on issues-based campaigns. That's on page 7. Electricity, discos reject 753 megawatts despite FG's pressure. That's on page 21. And the major headline here, corporate Nigeria shuts down Lagos for Wigwe. That's on page 19 with the rider as Dangote Edun Cardoso, Sanwo-Olu Adesina Aige Mokwede, others pay tribute. And then the picture of that event follows down there. I think that's about it here. 2023 in sports, 2023 African Games, 358 athletes to represent Nigeria in 25 sports. That's according to the NOC. That's about it. Okay.
I have the Nation's newspaper, and above the nameplate we have the tearful Dango immortalizes Wigwe, a road named after him. That story can be found on page 4. And 12 killed, 28 injured in Zaria Kano Expressway crash. Police to arraign 15 for Abuja warehouse looting. The two stories can be found on page 6. Now, below the nameplate, we also have the U.S. Supreme Court clears Trump to contest against Biden. The story is on page 28. Why telcos bet 40 million telephone lines. Government takes minimum wage talks to Nigerians in zones. Private sector players orders to give input in Lagos, Abuja, Sokoto, Kano, Uyo, and Yola. Their story can be found on page 3. And well, we have the CBN slashes custom FX duty rates, and that story is on page 4. Sani inaugurates panel to resettle IDPs. The story is on page 5. Victor, let's look at this story that the government takes the minimum wage talks to Nigerians in zones. I think what the government is trying to do is to get inputs from the general public on this issue of minimum wage. They'll be going to the 6 geopolitical zones and to get, let's have the feels of Nigerians concerning this issue. You know, there's been a lot of controversy concerning. Right now, the current minimum wage is 30,000, and the labor is.
I'm not sure how.
1 million.
I'm not sure how government is going to arrive at a consensus with that, because everywhere you go, you are likely going to get different suggestions or proposals, and if you do that, I don't know. I of course expect that some will go sky high. I'm not sure how they are going to aggregate all of that, all of those, and arrive at a consensus.
I think we're just trying to get a feel so that it will, you know, give them an idea of, you know, what is realizable, you know, concerning the minimum wage. Like the labor right now is conversing for 1 million naira, which is, you know, we all know that is.
Well, because they know there will be negotiation. It's just like when you go to the market and then the woman selling fish tells you it's 5,000 naira. Tells you it's 5,000 naira. She knows you are going to. She knows you are going to bargain.
Yeah, I know.
And so you may end up paying 1,000 naira.
But because even the 30,000 naira, most of the states just have not been able to pay such. So we just hope that they'll be able to.
Well, I think states should negotiate. The labor leaders in those states know the capacity. They have a sense of the capacity of the states to pay, and so it can be held at that level. Blankets may not work.
I guess that is one of the reasons why they are actually taking the discussion to the zones, so that they can feel the pulse of the, you know, the various zones, what their capacities, you know, are, and then they will help them to be able to arrive at a consensus. Right, let's move on to other ones. These telcos, you read something about telco, but 40 million telephone lines. What's the reason for that?
Well, I haven't read into this, but not here. This is not where they talked about. They just talked about why SIMs previously linked to NIN, you know, were bad.
Okay.
SIMs previously linked to NIN, why they were bad, and you know, you want to talk about compliance in certain areas, which is not quite clear to many. I am one of the lucky ones. My lines have been linked, and well, they remain linked. I haven't been barred from making calls, but some don't seem to understand why their lines are bad.
There is some that have not been using their lines for a while.
Perhaps,
like I have 2 lines. One has been you know, bad because I've not been using it for like 3 months now. So I just found out that it's no longer working. So I have to go to the to rectify it. So let's move on. You have papers there. The corporate
Nigeria shuts down Lagos for Wigwe. That's the Wigwe story, and there's been a lot of talk around the tribute of business mogul
it's really
Aliko
unfortunate, actually, that
Dangote, who named a major street leading to his refinery in support of Herbert Wigwe, who he referred to as his friend, mentee, and confident, and a very strong supporter of his business ideas and all of that. Quite tearful there.
It is. I also listened to the Lagos State Governor yesterday when he was giving his own tribute. And he also described him as a very reliable friend, very compassionate, and also very humane, always giving him advice and giving him support. He's a good backer, and well, it's unfortunate actually that the incident happened, and we just hope that next time we'll just or somebody said something recently that even the investigation will take some time, like
2 years.
2 years, and And the
It
person,
could take up to
what
2
the
years.
person actually said was that if
If
it had happened in Nigeria and they said the investigation would take 2 years, Nigerian press and Nigerian public will go haywire. Nigeria is, I mean, look, it's US
Well,
now.
it says a lot about trust.
That is
It's
just
not about the
problem.
timing. It's about trust for what will come out of it. So if they say 2 years,
So we should
there
begin
seems be that
to
trust.
also
We
respect.
should believe in us too, and then we should do right by ourselves so that you can, this confidence is grown over time. And then this big one here, Cardoso warns Nigeria on debt risks. FG states 0139 trillion naira, and then the debt rose from 2.1 trillion naira to 87 trillion naira in 24 years. And then you begin to wonder, what exactly do we borrow for? Because if you borrow so much and you are not seeing what you are seeing on the ground in terms of infrastructure, and that's what you should borrow for actually. If you say you are borrowing for infrastructure development, well, that's fine. But if you are not seeing the infrastructure to justify the amount of borrowing, then there's something to
over the years
worry about.
Then, well,
there's something to worry about.
I guess that's why the CBN governor is calling for a caution there, that we should be careful. But I think this government is taking the right steps right now, and they are trying to settle some of the debts already, because recently I think I read something like that.
Settling of debts is an ongoing thing, because by the time you take a loan, you have an agreement on how you are going to pay. It doesn't matter who is in government per time, the government is already tied, and you must, service these loans.
Well, there's no way we can run away from, borrowing actually. But when we borrow, let's use it for something that is concrete. That's just the thing.
And then the IGP bars POS operators from police stations nationwide.
Yeah, I think.
I'm beginning to wonder.
Well,
were they using police stations for POS operations?
Well, you know what goes on in the police stations now. And,
if you don't have cash, you can swipe.
And I think the IGP is trying to reduce this corruption and everything that goes on in the police station. Most of the time when you get there, they will ask you, they don't have this, they don't have that. You don't have cash. Okay, we have POS. Where is your ATM and all that? So I think it's a good decision.
Anyway, after all said and done, the police is your friend.
Yeah, the police is your friend. That's true. Now let's move on to sports. NFF dismisses Eguavon as Super Eagles interim coach. The
Super Eagles coach has resigned.
He has resigned.
He didn't get a contract.
No,
he didn't get a new contract.
Is it that he didn't get
his contract is expired, and there is none on the table?
Are you
and then he resigns.
Okay, was that the reason why he resigned?
He resigned because there is no contract. They didn't discuss a new contract.
Okay, because I heard earlier, maybe a rumor, I'm not sure, that he's been called to come and coach one other country like that.
That may be there, but his contract is expired. This is according to him. By his own statement on X, that his contract expired and that there was none on the table and he had to go. But he was full of appreciation in all of this to the NFF, for hiring him, for the time he spent with Nigeria, the Nations Cup and all of that. So there's no bad blood.
And I think he did well anyway.
There's no bad blood.
And, but I think there's some sports analysts are tipping Eguavon to take over. But right now the NFF has dismissed that.
Eguavon has been in and out of the Super Eagles. I'm not sure what new thing he would bring on board, but I am also for local coaches. If you have, there are a number of them that are decent, but that you could allow some time on the job.
Okay.
Because South Africa, Senegal, they have local coaches and they are doing well in their own right.
But we have not been fortunate with our own local coaches.
Well, Stephen Keshi won us the Nations Cup.
Unfortunately, he's dead.
Stephen Keshi won us the Nations Cup. You have to look inwards. There is Emmanuel Amuneke. There is Sunday Olisa had been here before. There are coaches really. It's a question of whether the NFF would hire someone who is independent-minded. There are footballers naturally are not people you just push around?
Well, maybe because they run for the foreign coaches because most of the time our local ones are easily influenced and by the foreign players. That's what.
But there are those, they also played abroad. So it's not as if Madola Monike played abroad. Stephen Keshi played abroad. Daniel Amokachi played abroad.
Yeah, they did,
So,
but then
you know, it's about principle. It's about principles. If you are principled enough, then you'll be able to hold your own. Not allow yourself to be influenced. It's not as if any of them is hungry anyway.
yeah, none of them is hungry. So 12 killed, 28 injured in Zaria Kano Express crash. Police to arraign 15 for Abuja warehouse looting. For that looting is worrisome. I mean, the looting is becoming rampant now. We also read that there was a truck that was going, the driver parked to pray, and before he could go back to where the truck was.
It has to be punished.
No, it's really,
criminality
it's
is what
sad.
it is, and
It's
it has to be defined, because when you tie it to hunger, is it really that bad? And let's assume the food is for Nigerians, the one they loot from warehouses. But how do you come to the determination of what is rightfully yours? So it is looting to the extent that you take yours and take that which belongs to another, because you don't know it's not been given you.
It's actually looting. It's
not
actually
been given
very,
you.
very, very worrisome, which means that moving food items from one part of the country to another now becomes more
A risk.
a risk. So I don't know whether government will have to begin to
You have to make examples of those that have been caught.
well, also to ask security agencies to follow some of these trucks for safety. You understand? Because I mean, you can imagine now if there is any traffic hold up anywhere, and the trucks of
And then
food
they loot-
and
empty the
they
trucks.
loot everything. So that's just the thing. It's really worrisome. I think government needs to do something about that urgently. So I think. Do you have any other issue there?
No, I think it's actually time to call it a day.
All right. Okay, fine. So we call it we draw the curtain here on Newspaper Review. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.